Hello, Somerdale. George Badey, Mayor of Somerdale here, and I am at the Somerdale Fire Department. And I'm going over some history and reminiscing with past Chief Brian Alexander and present Chief Brian Barkoff. This jacket is the jacket that I really wore when I was a member at Somerdale #1 Fire Company. We'd run in, put your foot in the boots, put that jacket on, that thing came below our knees, throw our plastic helmet on, and we were out to fight the fires in Somerdale. Chief,
how are you?
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Chief, thanks for having me here.
Yep, our history is very important to us. As you can tell, we have it all over our walls. We keep it embodied with all of our past members. We try to always bring people back. We want to make sure that everybody is remembered for the things that they did, merging the two companies into one.
Thank you. And you know, I am privileged to be part of that history.
Chief Barkoff can show you something that we brought over from Somerdale #1.
Somerdale Fire Company #1 letters are currently on the outside of our building today.
That's awesome. So we brought both fire companies together. We made one fire company, but we continued the tradition of both fire companies.
Yes, sir.
It goes back to 1924.
Yes, sir. And speaking of 1924, that bell that is there, that's our memorial bell. That bell was on our original fire truck that we got in 1924. So that bell is 100 years old.
Wow.
And it now dedicated to Danny Stetzer, one of our longest running firefighters in our history.
Wow, that's awesome. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had this discussion in the past. The reason why they became a fire department was because of the first automotive fire truck and they needed to register it?
Yes. Yes, it had to be registered, and the Civic Association with the men that were volunteers at the time, it had to be organized as a fire department or fire company. So that's how they could get the registration through the state.
So really, we're over 100 years old if you start looking at the civic parts of this.
Technically, yes, sir.
That's awesome, and we still have some of that history here today.
We do.
That is awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's take a walk down memory lane. I remember Mr. O'Brien, even back in the 80s, Mr. O'Brien driving the fire trucks. That's all he ever did.
Our banquet hall and training room is dedicated to Mr. O'Brien.
That's great. That's great. Tradition is everything, especially when you're an all-volunteer organization. Thank you. I mean, you don't get that, these days. You are 100% volunteer organization, and the community and I thank you.
Different groups throughout the years. This one was in honor of September 11th. Everybody dressed up in their uniforms.
And I see we have a couple armed forces uniforms here.
Yes, sir. We have a history of many of our members were in the military at some point or left to join the military. So we come from all different backgrounds. We've had teachers, construction workers, accountants, military, police. We've had it all.
Awesome, awesome. And thank you for your service. I know you were in the Air Force.
I was, thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, this is great. I'm really enjoyed, taking a tour back to memories of when I was a fireman back in the 80s. I wasn't a fireman very long, but this is still taking me back. And like I see up here, the old 6512. When I first joined the fire company, that was the fire truck that they used. And that Magnolia Heights, that old one, that's amazing.
I believe that's like 1927.
Wow.
If you see, there's a small plate on it. That plate is on the front of our building.
Okay.
It says that we were, Magnolia Heights Fire Company, incorporated February 6, 1924.
That's great.
Right outside.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you've been to, many working fires, as I can see, in town and out of town.
Yes, sir.
Maybe give a mention as to a couple. Oh, this looks like it's a training. It looks like
training at the Training Academy for a tractor trailer fuel fire.
Right. And then this looks like to be apartment fire.
I believe that was somewhere in Stratford many years ago.
We got the Terminal Vending Company, probably in Oakland, Westmont area.
Oakland, right off the White Horse Pike.
And we were talking earlier, and we seem to think that this one right here was the Mojiri House.
Yep.
On the
Preston
corner
and
of
Warwick.
Preston and Warwick, right there by the Warwick Tavern.
Warwick Tavern, yes, sir.
That's awesome. And Councilman Sefcik, through his Historical Society, has gotten some information where some famous people actually spent time there on their way to Atlantic City, coming out of the city of Philadelphia.
That's really neat.
So it's an amazing, we have an amazing history here in the borough. And let's we'll go over here, because I noticed this Somerdale Fire Company banner. And I remember this banner hanging in the Somerdale Fire Company number 1's hall. Yeah, they used to have, I never saw it, but they said they had a stage there, and that's where they had their civic meetings before they became incorporated. And after they became incorporated, that's where they held their meetings, and this banner was on the wall.
Yes, sir, it was. And not only that, but that banner, again, over 100 years old. We keep the history alive here. It's very important to us, and that building, the old station, Somerdale Fire Company number 1, is where the borough of Somerdale originated from. The firefighters from both Magnolia Heights and Somerdale Fire Company number 1 all got together, and they decided that they wanted to divide away from Clementon Township, and we made the borough of Somerdale out of that. And many of the first mayor and council were members of the fire company.
That's awesome. And I continue that tradition as a member and the mayor now.
Absolutely.
As well.
And
That's
very many.
That's good. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to carry that on. So that's just a brief look into the 100th anniversary here at the Somerdale Fire Department. Stop up on any Monday night. I'm sure these guys would love to talk to you, see a resident, just give them a handshake and thank them, because they are 100% volunteers. They do not accept any money from your municipal government to run this hall, to respond to fires. Everything is 100% volunteer, and they put a lot of work and a lot of time into this. Thank you, and have a good night, and be safe.